All right, guys, welcome to a live. We are here in Carlsbad, California. And one thing I want to say first and foremost is just I appreciate everybody who's putting out content. I appreciate everybody who's taking that step, getting their podcast room. Maybe they're just getting a light to make sure that their stuff is like, it's so important as an insurance marketing organization. I think as a whole, we can't take for granted what everybody's doing to put everybody in a better position. And be clear, I don't think anybody's really doing them like to be like, oh, I'm so great. I see all the things that are coming out and I'm like, man, like they could have not done that. But they put it together, put it out there, and you see the views go up. So thank you guys all for sharing. It's an honor to be on here today with you all. I got my good buddy, friend in this business, John Wetmore, in the place. What up, dude?
Yeah.
Making it happen?
That was good.
Dude, you got a round of applause. It's going forever now.
Yeah, buddy.
Dude, it is good to have you here. All right. Come all the way from Atlanta. And I want to let's take 15, 20 minutes and talk about what we do. And I'm going to start it off with this story. All right. Because I think this story goes a long way. And I think there's a lot of folks who are in the midst of their business, man. They may be just starting their business, John, or they are maybe had success in another business previously, and they're starting this business with integrity in mind. Maybe they're going, man, I want that. I want to build something big enough to where somebody else wants to go, hey, let's put some value on it and change your family's life forever. But one thing that we can't forget is that it's policy by policy. You heard that saying, oh, brick by brick, and I remember one day. I was in the field, all right? I was in the field, and it's cool to be able to talk about all this stuff now. Does that make sense? Because, like, in the moment, you're just like, man, like, dude, it could happen. Like, I hear it, right? But you're at a point in time to where you just signed. Oh, no. Yeah, you signed.
Yeah.
Okay, so just signed.
Just had finished.
Yeah. Right? And I'm in an appointment, and we kind of know what's going on, but you don't really know what's going on until it's done. Right? You know what I mean? With all these deals and stuff. You're like, well, I didn't know this person was under LOI. Like, yeah, well, you're really not supposed to know. Does that make sense? It's like, no, you won't know until it's really done. And in that moment, I was selling a final expense policy. You give me a shout. You even help me out with these preloaded text things. So like when people call you, it pops up like things that you're like, there's three most things that I'm most likely doing, right? And one is, hey, dude, I'm in an appointment. You know what I mean? Give you a shout when I get back. Right, so that was my preloaded thing. He gave me a shout. I preloaded it. Boom. Hey, I'm in an appointment. Is it if it's a hurry, definitely pick up. But no big deal. So he shoots me a text back and goes, "Hey, dude, no big deal. But a ton of those, all right, will lead you to doing this. And doing this was signing your deal with integrity. Yeah. And I want to take some time, dude, today to talk about what is that, that brick by brick mentality. What is that? We can't get so ahead. It's like if as a new agent, we start off and we're like, man, these IULs and annuities, like, I hear you, but here's what we got to do here. Yeah. And then the same thing, if you're looking to build your business, it's like it all comes back to final expense and mortgage protection.
100%.
I think no matter what. And, but that track of building that thing up during a training today, you talked about, you got to stay consistent and then eventually you're ahead. And I think a lot of us, we don't know when ahead's going to come. We think ahead is like just because we have more money than we did last week, we're ahead, right? So if you can kind of talk about what is that ahead look like and why is it, why were you so confident in saying, and at that point in time in my life, I promise you, if I look back at like the month, we know what month it was, right? Yeah. All right. So I know exactly. So at the time, you believe something that I didn't believe. Yeah. I believed it because you're not going to, if there's anything around, be clear. I'm never going to say I can't do something. All right. So if it's like, oh, you can't, but did I really believe it? No. But when you said a ton of those will get you here, I said, well, I know I can do this. Yeah. And what's stopping me from doing a ton of them? And then for some reason, it just kind of just said, all right, go get it. So thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it. And, this is I know that when folks hop on these trainings, they want to learn something that they can put into play. They want to take something and say, hey, I'm going to go in the field tomorrow with this. Or the best is when, man, it feels like he was talking to me. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. And typically that stuff happens when we're talking about actual experiences, not this what if type of thought process. So I appreciate you jumping in, man, and being here. And I'm going to turn it over to you, brother.
Got it, dude. Well, one, I appreciate you having me out.
Yes, sir.
And had a blast with your team today. Definitely had a few people that were like, man, that hit me today, you know? And then Coleman out there was like, you know what? I knew the answer. It's just time to do it. Now that I heard it again. It was just his day to hear it the right way, like you said, that day. And that was not even 2.5 years ago when I had that phone call. It was early. It was probably after LOI I'm signing Ash. It was probably January, February of 2020.
Yeah. I was fresh out.
Yep. It was just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I think, having seen others do it, go through that process. I mean, I'd been in the initial signing, but I'd watched them through the career. When I say do it, I mean build it brick by brick.
Right.
I'd watched that happen multiple times over. And it's like I was telling your guys today in the room, if we all decide we're going to go get in great shape today, right, we're not confused. We can't have abs tomorrow. Or probably next week, or maybe even not next month. You know what I mean? I'm 45 years in, and I ain't figured it out yet. Right. But getting in better shape is like, it also depends on to what degree you want to get in shape. You want to be in pretty good shape, or you want to be cover model, two different paths, truly. And no one's confused by that. And it's similar here. Like, you can do okay. You can make some good money selling life insurance, right, or you can get the equivalent of being like high-paid professional, cover model type pay, And I think for me, when I learned that it was just being insanely consistent more than everyone else around me, that freed me. Because previously, and you know the story, I was here for a couple of years before I did anything, even remotely, what I'm talking about. Very mediocre. I was making more than I was on my accounting job for sure. But I had a ceiling at that stage, so I was excited about where I was at financially, even though looking back, it was very mediocre, especially in our environment.
Right.
But my eyes were opened because other people were doing they were doing crazy more than I was, result-wise. But I was always looking for what am I saying wrong that I don't sell as much as Matt? What leads does Mark have?
Right.
You know what I mean? I wonder where Paul and Andrew run. I was like that.
Yeah, those guys in California, right?
Yeah, the house prices are more than in Atlanta. I was 100%.
Yeah.
And when I really started diving into and I was asking questions, I was truly trying to figure it out, and I was asking so many questions based around skill set stuff, and the common answer kept being the amount of activity relative to theirs. And they were doing more in every aspect. They were buying more leads. They were making more calls. They were seeing more people. They were interviewing more people. They were always doing more stuff. And every one of those I named were very different people. They had different backgrounds. They had different personalities. They had different approaches. They had different tonalities, different ways of telling stories. Like Andrew and Matt they're not even remotely the same. And I could pick any two of those.
Right.
And some people that intimidates me, I was like, oh, so I can just be me and figure this out too? If they could take their personalities, and again, you get to know any one of us, you're like, oh,
right.
There's literally nothing special. And there's nothing earth-shattering, I'm going to say, as far as a skill set. Like, this phone script changed my world. It was never that. It was just doing more of the same phone script. And what I discovered was, again, the amount of input I was putting relative to the output I expected was off. And then if I looked at the amount of time I had throughout the week, I definitely had more time. I was home a lot. And I was running 10, 15 appointments a week, dude. I was home all the time. You know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, and if you're watching and you're running 10 or 15 a week, you're home all the time. Yeah. Don't sugarcoat, don't pretend. And if you're out long, you're not seeing people that entire time. Does that make sense? So even if I had a 12-hour day with 4 appointments, I was counting that the first couple of years as a 12-hour day. Where in reality, I had to own it, dude, and really count what mattered. And so for me, it became about 30 appointments a week, 120 a month, no matter what. Right. The 30 a week had a little flexibility in the sense of if stuff comes up or I had to adjust something or shift something. And when I didn't have that, 30 a week, if I missed it, if I ran 26, I'd be like, get them next week. And then I do 22. I'm like, get them next week. But by the end of the month, dude, I'm 80. You know what I'm saying? But when I had 120, I knew if I ran 25 in a week, if I was going to hold myself accountable to that 120, I had to run 35 the following week to make up for it. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted the consistent schedule for my family, for my kids. And I was out a good bit. But they knew when I was going to be gone, and they knew when I was not going to be gone. And I liked that piece of it. And, you know, over the course of a year, I was telling the guys this earlier, in the top year, 460, families, apps, whatever you want to call it, out of 52 weeks in Kilometrics Group, and I don't know FFL, I didn't really pay attention to the number, but I was only the number one producer in all of Kilometrics Agency, Southeast, 4 times out of the whole year, out of 52 weeks. But I ended over 200 above the second place guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That solely was because of the quantity of appointments I was able to get in a year, because I just stayed consistent, and I hit the phones harder than anyone else I was watching hit the phone. I actually wasn't that great, especially early. I got good on the phone for sure, because I learned to be more effective. But that's where I talked to you about. I was like, I started getting on the phones at 7, no later than 7:30, no matter what. My goal was 7. And then my goal was to make $60 per hour. And that was how I judged myself. I didn't judge like, man, I only booked 6 today. I judged, did I make 60 per hour for the whole day? I started judging the activity side and not the result side.
Right.
You know, because again, like the gym, if we decide we're going to get in physical shape, we know if we eat grilled chicken and broccoli and drink enough water and we go to the gym and we do enough cardio, if we do that every single day or 5 days, however many do it, for the next 6 months, what's going to be the outcome?
Right.
We're in better shape, right?
Yeah.
No one is confused by that. Why is no one confused by that?
Because you don't expect, the growth of the evolution of the human body. Like,
correct.
Like,
it's been done a zillion times.
You just can't. Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense? You know what else has been done a zillion times at this point?
Right.
Dude, 30 appointments a week, every single week over the course of a year, typically means a lot of production. Right. Does that make sense? Like, we know that.
Yeah.
And so I wish people would just go at every day with the belief that if they go at it every day like they did their health, they know their financial would be in order. If they stop looking at Tuesday for Tuesday, and the result on Wednesday wasn't good, and the result on Saturday morning was tough, I had a rough morning. Like, stop. I like that stuff. And I was that guy, dude.
Yeah.
I had to look at myself in the mirror and go, what are you doing? Like, oh my God, rough workout. I didn't lose any weight today. That'd be weird.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it makes no sense. Or a kid like Maddox at 10, he goes to practice today at baseball, and he's not 20x better at baseball tomorrow. Right. He's 10. He's got to practice to get better. And for me, this just became about how much activity am I putting in every single day. And I started judging myself, and I started counting my 40 hours in a different way than probably most. But it worked for me because I came from a corporate world, blue-collar world, where I was timed to do jobs. So I only started giving myself credit for 1 hour per SAT appointment.
Okay.
So if I sit with someone, I get an hour. Every dial gave me 1 minute. And every interview for recruiting gave me 20 minutes. So to equal 40, I had to sit with 20. Right. 20 hours. 600 dials is 10 hours. 30 recruiting calls is 10 more hours. That was it. That's how I got to my 40. All the other stuff, drive time I didn't count, no matter what, because I didn't ever get to count that in my career, doing anything. But like calling of carriers, running ads, administrative stuff, follow-up, all the other stuff, that to me was the equivalent of overtime, right, which I've worked my whole life. Mm-hmm. And then any of the study stuff to get better, trainings, sales meetings, all that stuff, that was the equivalent of going to like night school. Like I had to do that on top of it, right? So I did my 40 plus overtime plus night school. And when I started looking at things like this, dude, my whole world changed like you were there. Mm-hmm. It changed fast, dude.
Yeah.
And that became the way I started teaching it because it's what worked for me. And I've seen it work for countless other people. And we can teach skill sets. I'm all about the skill, but there's so much skill set training.
Right.
Most people know what to do. It's just going in and doing it and being willing to go through that process of like learning this.
Well, we were talking today. or was it? No, I heard it again today, but earlier this week. Getting in front of people, we're talking about doing business overview meetings more, and it's like the training is out there. It's not like people are like, well, we got to do this sales training or this sales training. It's like there was 5 videos on YouTube released today on those things by 5 people in 5 different parts of the country. Correct. There's no way one in-person sales training can beat 5 people, 5 different parts of the country talking about the same thing, getting a similar result. Yeah. Does that make sense? So with this, it made me think like we need to get in front of more people. Do you know what I mean? And not just based on say, oh, this is what you say. Does that make sense? Like this isn't this is what you say. This is how you work. Correct. And I think when you get to this is how you work, like we're going to be talking about in these business overviews, it's like this is what we do, right? But this is this is how you make it work for you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And these are some of the things that could get in the way, may get in the way, obstacles. And I think because when it's all about the commission result and the sales, people get confused on what's in between. And I think what this business overview is going to do is make it very clear what's between. Correct. Because I wasn't confused at the other deal. You could be like low comp, this, that. I wasn't confused. Yeah. Makes sense. I just didn't know what was right. I just didn't know like, oh, that could be better. Yeah. But I was not confused. I knew what was going to happen next. I knew when my next raise was. I knew all of that. Yeah. And I think it made me think of the way you're attacking, the way you're training is like 5 years ago, maybe you had to do a little bit more what to say, not so much why you say it that way. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think now we can spend a lot of our time working with agents talking about the why and the sacrifice versus what do I say when they say this? Correct. And I think that's why, because we spend a lot of time doing that stuff. So with the availability of training that we have today, and all right, with the availability that we have of training, how do you answer the same questions today as you did 3-4 years ago? No. Does that mean so? It's like somebody calls you up, hey, give me a simple sales question. Like, how do you respond differently then than you do now? Because I think guys like me who were around, we still answer it the same way. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't realize, oh, dude, you don't got to be everything. You don't have to have the answer. Yeah.
So it varies. I mean, dude, if it's day 1, week 1, I'm probably answering a guy to some extent. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Bob's first appointment, dude, I'm going to tell him stuff. Yep. Does that make sense? But you've been here like 6 months? Like, how do you overcome? I want to think about it. You know what I mean? I'm like, honestly, like you're going to hate my answer. I would have left the house before they told me they want to think about it because they gave you 432 cues that they were going to say that. And the only reason you stayed is because you don't have enough appointments and you were desperate for that sale. That's the actual answer. And I can tell you what I would say. But if you keep running 8 appointments a week, that's you hoping to get lucky with my magical like response to this objection. And that's not putting you in the best spot to win. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you only run 8-10 appointments a week, I'm just telling you, whatever I tell you right now isn't going to be as beneficial if I tell you the truth. Because the actual answer from everyone, Mark, Matt, Paul, and all the guys that taught me is they have enough appointments to account for that. So they're not crazy worried about it. And when you have more appointments, you'll be more direct in asking questions and not letting them bully you or take control of the conversation. You'll actually take control of the appointment when you're not crazy concerned about whether they buy or not. You're only concerned about actually them helping their family and not allowing them to continue to use you to procrastinate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, week 1, day 1, dude, I'm not saying that to anybody. But you give me a guy that's been here for a hot minute. And I'm like, you were on the training, right?
Right.
Like you've seen 400 of them. And I go like, how many trainings have you watched that when they tell you to overcome that objection, during that training, they tell you that it works amazing with 8 appointments a week? Which one of the trainings said that? So you only want the piece of the training you want. So you want me to spend all the time giving you the piece you want, but you aren't willing to do the part that we say is required to have this level of success you said you wanted. You know, and again, for me, it's certainly now someone's part-time and they have to be part-time, all good. You know what I mean? Stay-at-home mom, she's doing a little bit, all good. Every situation is definitely different.
100%.
But if you're saying you want to be here and you're doing this for a little bit of time, I'm just not that excited. You know what I mean? It's like when you're trying to make a baseball team, you aren't showing up for practices. You aren't watching any film. Yet you want to know which way your shoulder goes when you're at the, you know what I mean? Like when you're at bat versus a lefty. He's like, I mean, I can tell you, dude, but you ain't been working out. Your diet's crap, and you don't even know the game plan. Like, it's probably not going to do you any good.
Right.
Does that make sense? And so it's balancing that, though. Now, again, you're out there trying to build, and you got no agents. Dude, you can't, like, it took years to develop. Right. You know, and because I was talking to enough people, my deal was 30 a week to recruit. If I'm talking to enough, I can navigate it differently.
Right.
Because I'm looking for people who want to win with their family. I stopped looking for people that that just the words, and I would have to drag them to some level of success. And a lot of people ask me, like, how do you motivate so many people?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't. I look for motivated people. And you give me someone that's putting in the work, I know I can. This isn't crazy complicated, where if they see the same thing over and over and over again, I can mold them a little bit, and I can tweak a few things. Again, you take 2 ground balls this week, not much to tweak.
Right.
You take 200, I can start going, dude, your hips, your knee, your hand. You know what I mean? I can start identifying things that's causing you to maybe not make the play as quick or as clean.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it makes me think of, man, I know we're talking sports now, you know what I mean? But if, like, over the weekend, right, I've been watching a lot of, like, this is my time of year to watch sports because college baseball is like, I love it. Okay, I ain't gonna lie. So, like, I'll be watching the regionals, super regionals, College World Series. Dude, I love it. And I see some of the, a lot of the teams that I'm watching, it's my first time seeing them play. You know, because they don't put them on during the season. Yep. So if I watched one game, right, I think it was Arkansas play. I forget who it was, but they got smoked. Okay, and Arkansas is in the College World Series now. And one of their biggest players went like 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, right? Yep. Now that's the game I saw, right? Now I could watch that game and go, dude, he sucks. Yep. Right? Yep. And then there was a 9-hole hitter who went 4 for 4. Yeah. Okay? He was 4 for 4, second baseman. And I'm like, dude, he's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, if I didn't know the game, I could have easily looked at that and go, but then somebody would have been like, really? Yeah. Dude, he had 4 at-bats.
Yeah. Correct.
But he struck out 4 times. Looking.
Okay.
He's gonna win the Gold Spikes Award. What are you talking about? But it's all perspective, and I hear a lot of that from you in business. Like, I hear I hear why you think that, right? Yeah. But let me give you some examples of why that's not valid. Yeah. You know, and I think when I started looking at this business and didn't have, like, my expectations for baseball, I didn't expect to hit a home run every time I went up to bat.
That'd be weird, wouldn't it?
It'd be very odd. Do you know what I mean? Like, now, did I want to? Absolutely. Was there ever a time I went up there and was like, I definitely don't want to hit a home run this time? No way. 100% of the time I did. But I didn't believe that if it didn't happen, I sucked.
Did you go to practice the next day like, hey, coach, I need to learn how to go 10 for 10?
I need to learn how to hit a home run every time, game. Right? My launch angle needs to get bigger. Yeah. You know, like, dude, it's not that way.
Correct.
But then we get into this business and it's like, let's have it like right now. I think the biggest thing for me coming into this business, and I had zero business acumen, be clear. Didn't know what leads were. Didn't know, like, sales. I didn't know any of that. You know what I mean? Like, not at all. But I did know that failing wasn't the end of the world. Mm-hmm. And I did know that failure is whatever your definition is. Because I played with guys who, like, there was many times, like, I was the #1 strikeout person on the team. But that's only a stat that you only knew internally.
Yeah. Yep. Correct.
Does that make sense? Like, that wasn't like, oh, like, yeah, Rogers had 62 strikeouts this year. But, like, you're like, dude, they played 48 games. Yeah. Like, yeah, but how's he Yeah, you know, like there's other at bats you can get hits. Like you can go 2 for 4, have 2 strikeouts and 2 hits. So the outs don't outweigh the hits. The whiff, like it's so big. The sales, the family's helped outweigh whatever it is that we're concerned about by so much. But we never get there. Yeah. Does that make sense? You don't get to the point of saying, oh, like, yeah, that's not even as bad as that. I'm like, no, not at all. You know, so what do you think about that?
I think it's funny, like how many people who get their license and they aren't willing to go through the process of developing their skill set in this profession. Does that make sense? Yeah. They're not willing to go out, make a mistake, get guidance on how to fix it. And when people are told to do more, they get frustrated by that. It's like the most frustrating thing for me is like the agent who needs the help that wants to dictate the training they need.
Hold on. Let me pause you right there. Don't forget where you are. I read this proverb, okay? And it said, one who seeks knowledge and wisdom but hates correction is stupid.
I like that.
It's in the Bible, okay? And I had to say it before I forgot it, okay?
Hey, you should like put it up on the screen.
I'm going to, okay? I'm going to find it.
Right here, under my
Yep,
hand.
there you go. Boom. If those who seek, and now everybody who's looking to get a license, right? They're seeking knowledge.
Correct.
They're seeking a better way. But there is some correction that's going to come with that.
In anything they do ever, by the way. Think about like, I know you didn't have one, but this is for them. Like your last job.
Yeah.
First day in. Did you know everything about it? First day you got there?
Dude, I worked at Nike. I ain't gonna lie. I worked at Nike Outlet
Did
for
you?
like a week. It was like a week.
I've never heard.
I leave that off the resume because it was like a week. My friend worked in the. Yeah, dude. I wanted to hook up. You know what I mean? There was a friends and family discount coming. So, but that's besides the point.
You couldn't handle not having the job comment. So, hey, have you seen yet that movie Hustle? It's with Adam Sandler. So
it's new.
It's
new. No, I haven't. I've seen it. I need to watch it.
All right, so Steph and I started watching it like 2 nights ago. We've only seen like 15 minutes because we fell asleep. But he's a scout for, I think, the 76ers, I believe, NBA team. And his job is to go out and find their next draft pick, right? And they send him all over the world to watch all the best prospects, basketball prospects, literally all over the world. And they all can shoot, they all can score, they all can dunk, they all can dribble, they can all do stuff. And they're all pretty impressive in their own right. But his job, and it was what do you call it, like produced or whatever, by like LeBron. He's some producer, director, whatever he is. He's involved. So I'm guessing it's probably somewhat real, right? And while he's out there looking for players, he literally has a list of like 25 names, and his job is to go to these games and watch for like the intangible things. And he came back to the owner, and he was like, so-and-so, whatever name one was. He was like, he's really good, but he only gets to practice right when it starts. He's never there early, and he never stays late. And they cross him off the list. And he goes, and this guy, when he's in the game and it's a pressure situation, he's weak mentally. He like shuts down. They cross him off. This guy, when an opponent is talking junk to him, they can get under his skin, and he's worse. They cross him off. This guy, when he gets a technical fault called against him, he gets mad at the refs and he starts arguing. It's bad for the team. He crosses him off. And they were looking at all these attributes that really had nothing to do with basketball whatsoever. It was all these small little how they handle situations, how much work they put in, their thought process during a situation, how coachable they were, and how early they show up, how late they stay, and how what their willingness is to continue to get better and be part of the team. And as NBA team looking to draft someone, that would make all the sense in the world. If you want to be a top, first round draft pick or whatever, you would assume you need those intangibles. Like no one's confused by that. And so I asked you guys here, if Sean Mike was flying around or sending one of us around the country as a scout to watch you, how early you show up to dial, how many trainings you get on, how you handle an objection, how you handle a missed sale, how you handle an agent who's struggling or doesn't think, you know what I mean? Like how you handle situational things in this industry. Would you be crossed off that list? Or would you come back and be one that they go, we want to draft him? You know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget, dude, that I think it was Joe Rogan. I always say it's him, so I hope it's him that said it. He was like, I try to go at life like there's a camera crew following me around, filming a documentary about my life for my future generations, kids, grandkids. And so it's like, if that were the case for you, would you be proud of what that video captured relative to the career and the success you say you want? You know? So I challenge a lot of people in those ways, because after you talk to a few thousand agents, you start to realize there's a lot of commonalities in the ones that have success, and there's a ton more commonalities in the ones that don't. And it's always those intangibles, man. Again, what we say in a house, dude, watch 10, that's the easy part. Does that make sense? What to say on the phone, that's the easy part. The hard part is, are you willing to put in the work and the time and the energy and the effort to gain the skill set you say you want, versus just trying to go like, hey, Dom, how do I say this perfectly?
Right.
I mean, Dom can tell you, but you're not going to be able to say it the same way right away. And we need those trainings, and we have those trainings, but those skills develop over time, you know, and I wish more people were, and they do understand it if I just change the situation.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? So I think it's weird when people come here, and I was one of them. I came into it backwards too, and I took years to figure this stuff out. Yeah. That's why I'm so direct and honest about it, because I don't want to mislead people, man. You know, and that's all I really changed, was those small intangibles, how I looked at my time, how I was handling situations, how I was dealing with it. That's why you and I spoke a lot about how to handle situational stuff.
Right.
You know, that stuff's more important than what script, what lead, what county, what area. Like, that's the easy. Again, that's the easy part, man.
Right. And the same thing on the hiring. And if you're talking about, you know, what platform do I use, or what system am I? It's
Correct.
like,
who cares?
At the end of the day, man, let's just get on the phone and figure out what people want. Yeah. Let's figure out where they're going, figure out how we can help lead them, be effective with it. Dude, I appreciate you being in here, coming to Carlsbad, making it happen. I look forward to everything that's coming at the end of the year. I know there's a lot of new things that are happening with the company, and it's up to us to keep pushing the needle and keep changing the direction. And I don't mean change the direction as to go the other way. It's like, let's just speed it up. You know, let's speed it up. The more we do, and I've heard you said this, I've heard Andrew Taylor say this. He goes, dude, if we all just do a little bit, you know, if we all just do a little bit. That's why I started this off with this, you know, the podcasting. It's like, I appreciate everybody. We all just do a little bit. It ain't, you know, there was a point in time where Andrew Taylor was doing them all.
Yeah.
Right? And we were, and then we said, dude, maybe we should help him out. You know what I mean? Maybe we should, you know, like, yeah, we actually do this too. We sell life insurance. Like, we meet with clients, we hire, and now look where we've come. Now we take it to the next level with social media. We take it to the next level with how we're communicating leads, how we're preparing agents for the field with, you know, perspective. If we're all on the same page, this thing gets to $1 billion in no time. Do you know what I mean? It's the only way I see it happening, man. So anything you want to close out with, my man?
I think that, you know, for agents, I think that you can literally start to do more tomorrow. So implement it tomorrow and execute it. And then, again, the skill set stuff will come with time if you start doing more. But I've learned for people building, dude, I can't get people to believe they can be better as quick as I can get them to believe they can do more.
There you go.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, go out and execute. For those building, especially newer to building, don't take it like that takes all the burden off of you. It is our responsibility to guide, direct, and push people towards everything it takes to have success. So there is a burden on us also.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's learning with time how to navigate it with the right people. So don't use it as like it's all on them. Most of it is. But it's our job to go out of our way to help people, dude. And if someone's struggling, it's my job to recognize that if they're putting in the work and give them the time to help them with this industry.
Right.
And maybe they don't know where something is. Dude, there's 9 million emails they get. I should help them with where that is. Does that make sense? I don't want people to take it the wrong way and go, oh, I get to do nothing and just tell them do more. Like, that's not what I'm saying, you know? But it helps you identify the right people, which allows me to then do more with the right people as well.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
100%, my man. Well, I appreciate you. See you guys later. Peace out.